JR. I have a question as a follow-up to your answer to the first question in the critical Q&A number 122. Do Scientologists think it's possible for their movement to be defeated? Or do they have some sort of determinism on their side or some guarantee that it will always return via reincarnation if it is somehow destroyed? For example, do they think it's possible that a powerful group of evil wogs could round up and kill all the Scientologists and burn all their books, etc.? Could an asteroid destroy Earth before we get a chance to reach the stars and send Scientologist missionaries to other planets? If some such a thing should happen, will the universe have to wait another gazillion years for someone new to discover Scientology? Or would the Thetan of LRH or some other OT8 just reincarnate in a new body on a new planet if necessary and carry on the mission? Or are free Thetans already doing this? Boy, this is actually a really big topic. I could do a whole video on this, but let me see if I can encapsulate some answers for you. Scientologists believe that Scientology will always be around in some form from here on out. But they are prepared for nuclear war, holocaust of some kind, or an apocalypse by the secret vaults that are built into the grounds in Trementia, New Mexico, and Twin Peaks in California, and I think there's a place they were aiming to build up in Wyoming, and there's another place up in Northern California. These locations are confidential to Scientologists. They're not confidential to the rest of the world. Like the Xenu story, Scientologists are the last ones to know. But that because they don't know, they assume nobody else knows, and so they think that the world is, that Scientology is safe from the world at large because they have these secret vaults built into the ground in these different locations that the Church of Spiritual Technology is overseeing, and that all of L. Ron Hubbard's materials are safely ensconced in these vaults on titanium plates or on nickel-plated records that it will survive anything at all, including a nuclear war, because they're vacuum sealed in space-age technology metal cases which are buried, like I said, deep under the earth. So Scientologists have always, have had the idea since the 80s when this project, this is called the Preservation of the Tech Project, and ever since that thing was launched, they've been briefed on it and told that, that things are secure and that Scientology will always be here no matter what. Now that's the physical universe, physical world reality of Scientology materials as far as Scientologists are concerned. But as far as the spiritual aspect of it and people having spiritual awareness and this kind of stuff, they believe that if you get trained in Scientology, not just audited, but also trained, you will retain that information. Now, as I've noted in I think my last video and earlier videos, it's kind of funny because, people don't retain the information from earlier lives and bring it back into this one very often. If they have pretty good imaginations and have done some study, they might convince themselves that they have, but I have yet to see one Scientologist come up with, speaking a language from a past life or coming up with new inventions from earlier inventions that they've supposedly created 10,000 million years ago. But they believe that the Scientology information will stick with them because this lifetime they are partaking not only in the study of Scientology, but also the auditing of Scientology, which is going to free them of all their, reactive mind and all the encumbrances of all the past trauma. And so they'll be free and clear to remember things as they move on from this life forward. So it'll be a whole different circumstance for them is what they think, right? That's the whole goal of Scientology, is to break the wheel of, being stuck in the hamster wheel to nowhere of life after death after life after death. So they think that they'll retain that information, and there's actually, get this, because I don't know if it's ever been talked about, but there's a film in Scientology called YTRs, WHYTRs, question mark, right? YTRs. And the name of the film is the subject of the film, which is that Scientologists need to be trained in how to deliver a basic communications course, because that's the way you get people into Scientology, no matter what planet you're on. And Scientologists are expected to know this information so that they can go to another planet, and this is shown in the film, and teach a whole nother culture Scientology, just like L. Ron Hubbard did. right? Now, L. Ron Hubbard never presented himself as somebody who was doing that here on Earth, just to answer that question, because I'm sure it's going to come up. L. Ron Hubbard is the originator of Scientology. He's not the guy who's a messenger. So he's the one who says, I discovered all of the principles of Dianetics and Scientology right here, right now, on Earth, and you guys are going to take this stuff and you're going to go out to other planets when you die from, on this planet, when you move up the bridge, you're going to go on and you're going to take it off to these other places, and that's how Scientology is going to spread throughout the entire universe. So that's why you have to be able to teach Scientology at a basic level and start the whole cycle all over again somewhere else, right? And he even shows in the film, some kid, the Scientologist who goes to this other planet is like 12 years old when he starts disseminating Scientology, and he's got all these people listening to him, and he's delivering these communications classes, and then he's figuring out how to make an e-meter on this other planet with their technology, and he's supposed to duplicate what L. Ron Hubbard did there, from what was done here. Of course, we all know that if he does that, that's the best guarantee Scientology will never propagate anywhere else, but that's what's shown in the film, right? So that's kind of fun. And that is sort of this idea that Scientologists have. I never met a Scientologist or even a Sea Org member who was seriously planning or talking about doing this let's go to another planet thing, but that was sort of this expectation that's shown in this film, and that's part of Scientology's dogma. So if push came to shove, they'd have to answer up on that, and they'd have to do that. So, or say that they were going to do something like that, right? So that's kind of their view about the longevity of Scientology, is that it is always going to be around. And I don't think that Scientologists really have too much paranoia about the psychs or a bunch of wogs getting together and destroying and burning down all the orgs and stuff. I think that's not really a very serious, legitimate concern of Scientologists these days. I don't think that's where their heads are at. I think most Scientologists are more concerned about avoiding the wedges and trying to figure out how to not, have to be forced into giving more money. And there's a lot of disaffection in the church with its management structure and with all the incessant fundraising. So that's kind of why the whole thing is tanking now. So, that's the scene there.